Here's something kind of weird that happened over the weekend that I haven't really seen anyone talking about. Google has been quietly building an open-source app called AI Edge LiteRT, and it lets you run flagship class language models directly on your phone with no cloud, no API key, nothing on a server. On April 2nd, they shipped version 1.0.11, which adds support for the Gemma 4 family. That's the same model currently sitting at number 3 on the Arena AI leaderboard. So you can put one of the best open-source models in the world in your pocket right now, and it just works completely offline. The repo crossed 19,000 stars over the weekend without making a ripple on Hacker News, which is kind of surprising for something this useful. Let me actually walk you through the repo top to bottom so you can see what's there. Right at the top, you've got the standard GitHub stuff, the Apache 2.0 license badge, and a release tag for version 1.0.11. The headline section here is what they're calling the centerpiece release, and it literally says they're now featuring Gemma 4. You'll see the Google Play and App Store badges right under that. Both live as of last week. Scroll down a little, and this is honestly my favorite part of the whole project. 8 app preview screenshots, each one in its own pastel card, showing the actual UI for every feature. There's the audio Scribe demo, the mobile actions interface, the little tiny garden minigame. Below all of that, you've got the actual feature list, where each capability gets a real paragraph of explanation instead of marketing fluff. And at the very bottom of the page, you'll find the technology highlights and the license info. Before we go through the features one by one, here's what actually makes this different from other on-device LLM things you might have seen floating around. Tools like LM Studio or Ollama already exist, but those are basically desktop apps that run small models on a laptop. This is something else entirely. It's a polished, distributable Android and iOS app from Google itself, designed as a reference implementation for shipping AI inside real consumer products. The architecture underneath is meant to be copied, not just used. And that distinction actually matters, because it means there's now a credible path to shipping mobile AI products without standing up any backend infrastructure at all. Quick look at the spec sheet before we dig into the actual features. 19,000 stars, 1,800 forks, fully on-device, Apache 2.0. These are the numbers that explain why this thing is worth your attention. 8 features ship in the box, and a few of them are honestly more impressive than I expected. Let's start with agent skills. The model can plug into outside tools like Wikipedia or interactive maps and call them mid-conversation, which is the same pattern you see in desktop frameworks like LangChain. But here's the part that actually got my attention. You can load custom skills directly from a URL. Someone in the community writes a skill, you paste a link, and it just works. The second feature is AI chat with thinking mode, which lets you actually watch the model reason step by step before it answers. It sounds like a small UX thing, but it's genuinely useful for figuring out why a prompt is misbehaving. Third is Ask Image, where you point your phone camera at literally anything and ask a question, and the model handles the multimodal part on device. And fourth is Audio Scribe, which transcribes and translates voice in real time, also entirely offline. That last one alone would normally be a paid app. Now the other 4 features. Number 5 is Prompt Lab, which is basically a sandbox for messing with temperature and top case settings, the kind of stuff you'd normally only touch from a Python notebook. Number 6 is the one that actually impressed me the most. They shipped a fine-tuned version of function Gemma at 270 million parameters that can actually trigger phone actions, things like opening apps, sending messages, creating calendar events, all from natural language input. It's the closest thing to a real local AI assistant I've seen ship on Android. Number 7 is Tiny Garden, which is a fun little minigame built on the same small model. It's mostly there to show you can build real apps on top of these things without much friction. And the 8th is Model Management and Benchmark, which lets you load your own custom models and run actual performance tests right on the phone hardware. That last one is the most useful for developers by a huge margin. Okay, so how does any of this actually work under the hood? The whole thing is built on 3 pieces. The first is Google AI Edge, which is their core on-device machine learning runtime, the part that actually executes the model on your phone's neural processor. The second is LiteRT, which is the lightweight runtime that handles all the optimization work, things like quantization and kernel selection. The boring but critical stuff that makes a 26 billion parameter model fit in memory on a phone in the first place. And the third is the HuggingFace integration, which means you can pull models straight from the LiteRT community repo without having to compile or convert anything yourself. That's the entire stack. There is no server, there is no API call, there is no proxy. Every inference happens locally on the device, which also means it's effectively free to run forever. Installing it is genuinely simple. If you're on a normal Android phone or an iPhone, You just grab it from the App Store or Google Play. If you're on a corporate device or an Android phone without Google Play services, there's a direct APK on the GitHub releases page. You can sideload it with ADB in about 30 seconds, and then you're running a flagship language model locally. The terminal output here shows you exactly what that flow looks like end to end. The question everyone asks is how this actually performs on real hardware, because running a big model on a phone sounds like it should be slow. Honestly, it's better than you'd expect. The smaller Gemma 4 variants, the E2B and the E4B models, run smoothly on phones from the last 2 years, anything with a recent Snapdragon or Apple Silicon. The 26 billion parameter mixture of experts version is more demanding and works best on flagship hardware released in the last year. Inference speed ends up roughly comparable to running these same models on a mid-range cloud GPU, which is genuinely shocking when you stop and think about what's physically happening on the device. So who should actually install this thing and start playing with it? There's basically 4 groups of people. If you build mobile apps independently, this is the cleanest reference implementation I've seen for shipping Gemma in your own product, and the source is right there to copy from. If you work on anything privacy-related, the on-device guarantee is real and auditable because everything is open. If you ship products in markets where data plans are expensive or unreliable, this is genuinely game-changing because you can now deliver real AI features without any backend at all. And if you do any kind of mobile ML research, being able to load custom models and benchmark them on the actual hardware they'll eventually ship on is incredibly useful for tightening your iteration loop. Okay, let's be real about the trade-offs because nothing is perfect. The whole project is still marked experimental beta, which means breaking changes are very likely between releases. Thinking mode only works with the Gemma 4 family right now, so you can't use it with other models you might already have downloaded. And the APK weighs in around 500 megabytes, which is a lot of disk space if you're on a budget device or a phone that's already running thin. But for everything that's a little bit wrong with it, the project itself is real. It's Apache 2.0, it's actively maintained by Google itself, it has 19,000 GitHub stars, and it just shipped a major release with Gemma 4 support. If you build for mobile in 2026 and you're not at least running this on a test device, you're missing the wave. Links to everything are in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you tomorrow.